Live golf has been undergoing some significant changes lately as it inches closer to its second season, but things aren't exactly moving in the right direction because weeks after the COO Atul Khosla's departure, another big name has left the circuit. In today's video, we'll talk about the latest big name departure from LIV, what it could mean for the future, and a new perspective from Jay Monahan. So, keep watching. First off, LIV Golf's latest departure. The Saudi-funded league has been making many changes over its season break, and while that may seem par for the course since they're ramping up everything in anticipation for the full format second season, these changes don't exactly come off as positive. For starters, the COO of the league, Atul Khosla, left a few weeks ago after spending a year at its helm, but it looks like we're headed for a double whammy winter for LIV, as their president of franchises, Matt Goodman, also seems to have resigned from his position. If you didn't know, Goodman oversaw the development of the 12 four-man teams that are going to start next season. What's more, he'd only been on the job for around 8 months. Now, changes at the top aren't surprising because this is still an upstart tour finding its footing. What is fascinating, however, is just the manner of these departures. For instance, if someone in charge of player scouting left, it would be perfectly understandable since the league has already made a major chunk of its signings. Plus, Norman and his team can deal with the rest too. But the fact that people are integral to LIV's daily and long-term operations has to be concerning. After all, with only a couple of months left until the start of Season 2, you don't want to lose the guy in charge of all the teams, do you? Up next, should LIV Golf be concerned about these departures? You never really know what will happen with LIV Golf on any given day. It's a machine that's fueled by chaos and thrives within it. So maybe this is just their strategy to stir the media up and retain everyone's attention. In all seriousness, the recent chain of events leading up to these departures has been rather concerning, and at least from the surface, the Saudi League does not look like it's in a healthy place right now. Take Atul Khosla's departure as an example. The guy had years of experience within the sports management field and has been involved in some top franchises before arriving at LIV. He knew the NFL model inside out, meaning he could translate that same set of skills over to this circuit's format too. But something definitely went wrong along the way, as he was seen arguing with the governor of the Saudi Public Investment Fund, Yasir Al-Rumayyan, at the league's finale in Miami. Of course, we're not saying that disagreements aren't possible at the top of any league, let alone one that's as volatile as LIV. That said, there seems to be a difference in approach here, as Khosla was gone weeks after that argument. Plus, it almost feels like something similar happened with Goodman too, who was too integral to be let go this close to the start of the season. And there's a feeling among experts that all this movement has come due to the investors' dissatisfaction. Coming up, Saudi investors aren't happy with LIV. Alright, although Greg Norman continues to beat the drum about how great the Saudi League is, there's genuine concern about its growth. Project Wedge, for instance, was a document leaked at the end of last year highlighting some of the core targets for the circuit. It underlined the players that LIV wanted to sign, the board members it wanted in its ranks, and a bunch of other stuff. How many of these core objectives were fully achieved? 0. Yup, even if the breakaway tours sent shockwaves across the golfing fabric, it's apparently not good enough for its Saudi investors. And, to be fair, when you spend almost $2 billion in a single year, you expect a bit more than a bunch of mediocre events. Regardless, progress hasn't been good enough, and patience is starting to run out. Seriously though, there are still a lot of pieces missing from the puzzle after a year of this quote-unquote test run. With a mere month before kickoff, tangible signs of an upcoming TV deal remain absent. Despite Norman's statements that several parties are interested in the show, speculation appears to be at odds with his claims. What's more, even the 2023 schedule hasn't been finalized yet, which, again, just adds to the uncertainty. So, while the league itself might be healthy in the eyes of the public, things are going wrong behind the scenes. Moving on, is Greg Norman's job in danger? Now that heads have started to roll at the top of LIV Golf, nothing is off the table. So, you'd figure Norman would also be at risk of losing his position as CEO, right? Well, not exactly. While Khosla and Goodman were important to the league's plans, they don't even come close to superseding the Australian. Don't get us wrong, we're not saying that they were expendable. If anything, their departure will have a major impact on the day-to-day running of the breakaway tour. Norman is more than just a CEO for the upstart circuit. He's a leader and the face of LIV Golf, which makes him almost too important to lose. Seriously, at this point, if you think of the Saudi League, you can't think about the Australian legend. Not to mention, he's played an integral part in bringing some of the top talents to the league, including Mickelson and Cameron Smith. The pressure is piling on him to deliver over the next few months. We've also heard people on the other side of the fence asking him to leave. For example, Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods believe there can be no peace between LIV and the PGA Tour as long as the Aussie is in charge. So it's not like he's running around freely either. It's just that he's been incredibly defiant about leaving the company and has remained firm in his position. Besides, his departure would probably spell the end of LIV Golf right now. Now for Jay Monahan's latest comments about the LIV Golf feud. Speaking of people wanting Norman to go, let's talk about the PGA Tour Commissioner, Jay Monahan, shall we? The guy has been adamant that LIV Golf will get destroyed for a while now. When asked a few months ago about the two entities coexisting, he said that the only tour he sees coming out of this feud is the PGA Tour. Plus, he's also been dismissive of any idea that brings them peace. So, in a nutshell, he's been out on a mission to destroy the Saudi League, until now. Yup, something has finally moved the mighty Jay Monahan to switch his stance and make it a little more accommodating for Norman's league. Speaking in Kapalua, Hawaii, the PGA Commissioner talked about the latest shift in the golfing landscape and said that both the Tour and LIV are now moving on two separate paths. Since his monstrous tournament announcement in August, this was the first time he had addressed an assembly. It's evident how much has evolved since then. Still, he was pretty clear in saying, at this point, it's a product versus product competition now, and they're not directly treading on each other's territory anymore. Then again, have things changed since August? Like, we already knew about the elevated events and LIV's second season back then, so perhaps Woods and McIlroy have convinced Monahan to drop his antagonizing strategy. Following up, Monahan can only pay attention to the PGA Tour. Now, the PGA Commissioner clarified his position change by saying that he stopped paying attention to what LIV Golf does. He talked about how the Tour has its schedule and how they've laid it out, so they're just going to focus on that to improve it. Monahan added that they're going to continue to be the most pro-competitive aspirational tour in men's golf. Moreover, he also mentioned how LIV Golf is different from them and how the two competitions are going down two separate paths. That said, if you think about it, they have been different all along. So again, it's kind of interesting to see Monahan's statement shift over the past few months. Besides, the PGA Tour has grown closer to LIV with its latest additions, like the elevated events, since these are high-paying special events with all the top players involved, much like Saudi League events. Sure, they don't have the whole franchise and the league format, but still, there's some overlap. Then again, this could be just a step towards peace between the two entities, which, at this point, has almost started to feel inevitable. Finally, Monahan thinks cuts are important in golf. Of course, one of the biggest differences between LIV and the PGA Tour is that the Saudi League has no concept of cuts, and every player continues playing until the very last day of the event. For Monahan, however, having a cut and elimination process is paramount to the golfing experience, as it motivates players to be consistent throughout a tournament and makes for a more high-stakes game. You could say that LIV's fields are a bit too small to have cuts, as they don't even touch 50 players at most of their events. But, according to the PGA Tour Commissioner, they're not going to get rid of the cuts, even if the field size shrinks significantly in one of their elevated events. What's more, Monahan also confirmed that we could expect the Tour's fall schedule within a couple of months during the Players' Championship. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think LIV Golf is in trouble after the latest departures? And is there finally room for peace with the PGA Tour? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.